Hello, my name is Rakia Johnson, and I'm the co-founder of Batch Education.
And I'm Sophie Roth. I'm the co-founder of Batch Education, and we're here to bring you another episode of To a Degree.
To a Degree. Wait, To a
You could
Degree.
never get it right. That's okay. We're not pros. It's okay.
I don't know if anyone can tell.
True.
We're just, not pros.
We're not pros. That's okay.
So we, our last podcast was really, really great information that Sophie gave us about like numbers and just how different it is in a really short time frame
Yeah.
of
The value.
the cost and the value and the growth. But there's a few things like, did you want to recap anything from the last time? We could go
Sure.
on for that, right? Like that could go on for a while.
Yeah,
right.
I could sort of recap it. But I think what we came away with is the value proposition of a degree has very much changed from 1 to 2 generations ago to today. And it's important for us to set the record straight. We need to discuss it in a way where we acknowledge that the value proposition is different. It doesn't mean the value is completely erased of a degree, but it has changed. And because we're in this new normal, this new reckoning of what a degree costs and the return on investment, we do need to live in that reality when we discuss the cost of earning a degree. And a few things that we kind of took away is I think families are being very creative with how they are figuring out how to fund college or where to save money. I think more students are living at home when they earn a degree or returning home after they graduate. More students are looking at different paths. So they might earn more AP credits and dual credits in high school before they even get into college. So maybe they can graduate in 3 years instead of 4. And so there's different ways that people are mitigating costs. And I think I talked a lot about how families are mitigating costs, but I didn't talk that much about what I think that the government and society can do to mitigate those costs.
And the campuses themselves, the universities.
And the campuses themselves. I think everyone has a role in this, and everyone can be doing more to get us back on track. The way that the proposition was when the boomer generation was going to school, I think we can get closer to that. I think we need more federal and state funding. We need the, Congress and the administration to step in and say, like, if you're receiving federal funding, if you're benefiting from FAFSA, then you can't charge more than X amount in tuition. And I know schools in Europe do that. And, there's ways that they can influence and society can influence how the value and cost of higher education is.
So when you mention that makes me think of like the drug industry, pharmacy, right? Like
also,
where they would cap, right? Like how much you can charge for certain life-saving drugs.
Correct.
Which sounds insane that someone has to
step in. Yeah.
Someone has to step in. But I say the same thing about child labor. I'm like, we have to make laws that people don't work children. I don't.
Yep.
Like, is that not?
What is it?
We all just kind of like,
yeah.
Generally, you should be like, hey, maybe kids should work.
I think they say like all labor laws are written in blood, and it's true.
Like it just seems, but the same with college campuses, right? Like if this is what the tuition is, like we're going to cap tuition at this versus the amount of money funding that we're getting, which would mitigate, which is good for everybody involved here. It's
Absolutely.
Good for the students, good for the government that they're not spending frivolous dollars, and it's good for the university because they can still function, right?
Right.
Because they're receiving tuition. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
there's a way to make it better, and we can, look at the model that we had 2 generations ago and say, hey, that seemed to work out pretty well. We had a very educated population. A very educated society is almost like a national defense issue. And so let's do that.
What was it, Horace Mann, when we started public education in general, right? So again, education was pushed very much through churches,
right,
to for people to be able to read the Bible and to learn and to know and socially. And again, there's all these nuance between what that meant for women and what that meant for Black people and slavery and all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
And then you get into, right, like, hey, everyone should be able to read.
Right.
Like, that's a good thing.
Like that's a societal good.
Right.
Does
Like,
not have drawbacks.
There really isn't.
No.
There really isn't. And then, I don't know, then people started saying, but everyone's like knows too much. There's too much information out there for
Yeah,
everybody.
I would just
So-
say we talk about red flags a lot, like because we treat this almost like a very important relationship. Kind of a red flag
Kind of a red flag.
if people are like
You know too
too
much.
educated. Red flag.
Which I gotta tell you, I think I've been told
Mm.
that I'm too smart. And I
Right.
think this is just because I'm a woman.
Only women hear this.
You're too smart. And I'm like, I don't think I know what that means.
I'm
Also,
just going with
I'm really
thank you.
not that smart,
Yeah.
honestly. And it's sad
Contextually.
that you think it's too much. Like, I'm not top tier intelligence. I should not be too much.
You know when they tell women like accept a compliment? That's what I'm going with now. If I hear like you're too smart, you're too well educated, I'm gonna plaster a
yeah.
big smile on my face. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
What a
worked
lovely
hard.
compliment.
Worked hard for that.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about something just a little less heavy.
Oh, sure. Give me the fun cop then.
But you're really good at that sort of stuff, though. So you're
So
smart.
boring. I hear.
Um,
I hear between. I can read between the lines.
So just something also just very. I feel like it's very. What's the word? What's the right word I'm looking for? Maybe obvious isn't the
Okay.
right word, or very simple. But I also think it's simple enough to the point where it's like we talk about it and we use these words interchangeably, but they actually don't.
I
mean
love
the same
this.
thing.
Yes. Words matter.
Words matter,
And
and the
this is
older I get,
Hmm.
words matter a lot. So as
Mm.
someone who's like learning a different language right now,
Right.
it's not going great. But because I'm not that smart.
But you're trying.
It's intentional,
Talk
right?
about-
Like you have to be intentional with your words.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of different words, right? Like again, as someone who's bilingual,
Mhm.
you understand like finding the right word to say in a particular language is like you have to be intentional by it, that language.
But also, it's terrible because some languages have a very specific word that works better, and you just want to say that one. You're like, but I know we're not speaking that language, but I just know this really great word, and you have to not use it. Then you have to like work around it, and it's
Then you have to explain it, in which case it's like
no ruins
might
it.
as well just yeah. Because there's also, right, with words there is a social context
Stigma for sure.
with everything, and even more so in ways that you may not be aware of,
Right. Right.
right? So
Very
even
subtle.
in
Mhm.
terms of like, I think I learned the term barrel of laughter.
No,
Which, have you ever heard that term?
I don't know. It
Like
feels
you're a-
kind of old timey.
It is very old timey. You're a barrel of laughs, or like
okay, yeah, I've maybe I've heard it
um,
like that.
that is steeped in like that came across at one point, like Black people weren't really allowed to laugh in public, and so they would have to laugh into a barrel kind of thing. I don't know how real or true that is, because that seems,
I mean,
I was
it
gonna say
tracks.
that seems very cruel, but also of course.
tracks. Yeah.
Or even like peanut gallery, right? Like in the courtroom, there were certain people, like certain
Allowed.
Black people had to
yeah.
sit in a certain area, and they would call that the peanut gallery. And so those are things where
Yeah.
there's a whole social context behind certain words, and we're just completely unaware
Right. Mhm.
of that social context. And so when you say it, it doesn't pull the same meaning, or it does pull a meaning. And so I'm saying it to intend something else that someone else is completely interpreting differently, right? So that being said, we're going to talk about the difference between college and university.
Thank you. I still have questions, and I've
It
worked
is
there.
very questionable.
Yeah.
So first off, I think it's important to note that college and university mean something different in different countries,
For sure.
right? Like I think in Spanish, college typically refers to high school.
Right.
Um,
Colegio is how we would say it.
colegio, correct. I'm correct, like I would know.
You know that one.
Versus, and that usually translates to high school. So we're going to talk about college and university in the American context of what it means here in the U.S. So,
and I'd love to know if you came to a conclusion, because I don't think people know.
the what it boils down to is this.
Yeah.
Maybe. Could be. So I think in a very simple term is college refers to small institutions that typically emphasize an undergraduate education.
Okay.
Liberal arts colleges typically have a broad range of academic areas, but those liberal arts colleges are going to be things like history and anthropology or literature. And so while it's still broad, it's still kind of similar in its own way. However, universities are going to be like a big, large institution, typically a research institution. They have graduate programs, not all. And again, this is where I'm like, maybe, because some colleges are like you would, I don't know. I was thinking William and Mary College. Is it William and Mary College or William and Mary University? Sometimes when you say college, though, I can't believe I don't have an example of college.
I know. Well, there are many.
That's considered a college. That they would, they might have graduate programs, right?
Yes.
But typically, though, they will not be research institutions, right? Where they do a lot of like researching in science-y kind of things at those institutions. Those are going to be served more for a university. So universities are typically larger, offer a variety of both graduate and undergraduate degrees, a lot of doctoral degrees. Forbes magazine, they did an article called "What's the Difference Between a College and University?" And the critical difference between a college and a university lies in the kind of degrees that it offers. So if you want to say like the University of Florida, they will have the College of Engineering.
Right. There are colleges nested underneath the university umbrella.
Correct. So like the college would be only engineering. So all of the degrees offered in the College of Engineering will be engineering. So when you talk about a college, it's specifically that particular degree program. So you would have the College of Business, the College of, so each university would have multiple colleges.
It can also be called a department, right?
Or could be called a department.
So just to like
the Department of Education. But I think education is a little bit weird because education was one of the first degrees that was offered. And so it like everything was like always just education. So I don't think people made a distinction until we started adding other things. And then it was like, oh, because typically the correct answer, like when someone asked you, what college are you going to? The correct answer would be English.
Okay.
Engineering.
Refer to the field of study rather than the institution in some cases.
Right. So if someone's, where are you going to college? Well, liberal arts.
Yeah.
Where are you going to university? University of Texas. Right. Like that would typically the difference between that question.
I could answer for my undergrad. I went to Tulane University. However, and this was like a bit of a controversy because my group was like the last group to be able to graduate from the Sophie B. Newcomb College within Tulane University. So my degree actually says the college on it. I think as well, I hope, as the university. And it was like a bit of a controversy because then they like, now you could only graduate from Tulane. You don't graduate from the college. And I think originally maybe the Newcomb College was just for women and then got absorbed into Tulane. But yeah, so that's my degree.
Well, my degree says University of Texas at the top. And then it says
college.
Master of Science in... Does it have a college? I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
That was I actually haven't looked at it either. I think it's framed. I don't know. But I remember that specifically because it was controversial.
It was so funny because when I graduated, my mom was like, "Well, make sure the degree comes to the house so I can keep it." I was like, "Well, do I not?"
Yeah, you're like, "I want it."
I don't get it. I mean,
yeah. Wait, who has it? Does she have it still?
I think I have it. I think I got it because I was like, I'm going to frame it and put it up.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's
You
at.
have to frame.
I literally don't know where it's at. So
And, like,
that never happened.
If you were a boomer, you could just like walk in with your framed copy and just get a job.
Thank you. Now they'd be like, I don't know, did you really earn this? Is
Right.
this fake?
Is this a
Is it fake?
Is this a DEI degree though?
It's a fake degree.
Yeah.
I feel like fake. Yeah. Like,
I
you know,
know.
there was like this whole scandal. These nurses. This is so off topic. Do you
Okay.
hear about this? These
No.
nurses in Florida,
No.
where they like paid like $10,000 for a nurse degree. Nursing. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to know something.
Yeah. There are diploma mills. And so if you've heard that term, those are real in some occasions, tend to be for-profit colleges. We talk about red flags. This is my red flag for today's episode. Diploma mills. If it's too good to be true, if it's a for-profit college, if it's too quick to earn the degree, too cheap to earn the degree,
Or
not
so
regionally accredited.
expensive to earn the
Mhm.
degree.
Oh, yeah.
But they're like, you don't really have to show up though. And it's like, well, how's that?
How's this work?
How does that work?
So those are red flags, and don't get those kind of degrees.
And just super vetted, right?
Right.
Another term that comes to
Yeah.
colleges is going to be like a community college,
Okay.
right? So we say community college. A lot of times, sometimes trade colleges
Oh.
are also considered colleges. So I think the term college typically means a specific area of study, where university is just going to be far more broad than that.
And I'll say recently I started learning more about this, but now community colleges in many cases are able to grant bachelor's degrees, whereas beforehand they were sort of limited to, I think, trade certificates and associate's degrees. And now it is not uncommon for community colleges to have like a limited offering of bachelor's degrees, and they are regionally accredited to grant those.
And can I just say, I feel like community colleges the same way that I feel about libraries, in terms of like, they are such a wealth of information and resource and knowledge that we do not capitalize. I love libraries. I loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
I would spend my days at library. Now that I think about it, that I would spend days at library in the summer, is people must have thought I was probably homeless.
Oh no.
Because I feel like
But it is a community resource, and it is so valuable, and we sort of take it for granted, or maybe even look down on it, where we shouldn't. We
no,
absolutely
like
shouldn't.
libraries now, my library doesn't do this, but you can borrow things from your library.
Yes.
So,
A
like,
library
if
of
you need
things. I love it.
a standing mixer.
Yeah.
Like really, you don't have to buy, you can borrow one from the library. You can borrow like equipment and
Tools. Yeah.
from the library. If you need a hotspot for your car, if you're going on a road trip,
Yeah.
you can hotspot. You can get the
Little thing.
little thing from the library. They're
Gadgets.
helpful. And community colleges are the same. So
I agree.
community colleges within a particular area, I was telling my mom, I was like, why don't you take a computer class
Oh, nice.
at a community college? Like, they offer them during the weekends, you know, during the,
And they
she's
cater
retired, so
to
during the day.
they cater to older
right.
older people, seniors. They also cater to high school students. They cater to college age students. I mean, it is a really multi-generational resource.
Right. And it's a community resource.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to be enrolled there. They offer certificates. They just want you to show up. And because it is a community, right? And so they're typically within a community. Like, they're usually not, well,
Right, they're
obviously
local, essentially.
Right, they're local.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's easy to get to and from. So I love community colleges.
Yeah.
I think they're really great tool that you can use. Wealth of information, and trade schools are also, and colleges typically are going to have lower enrollment than a university. University will have a much bigger population.
Larger.
And they're probably going to have an emphasis on faculty research as well. So you have faculty members that, as a part, like, if you've ever had a professor that you're just like, I mean, he shows up, but then the TA's doing most of it.
All of it, yeah.
It's because they are doing research.
They
Teaching
are researching and tenured. That's what it is.
Right. And teaching is a part of their contract, but not like legit part of their contract. I worked at a health science center, and at the health science center, obviously, right, like,
Research heavy. Yeah.
very research heavy. and we would have specialists, right? And so I worked at the research center, again, worked with international professors, and listen, they're rolling in it. Like they're making a ton of money.
Yeah.
However, I remember, I'll never forget this story, especially now it's even more relevant. He was an Iranian doctor. We were trying to get him to come in from Iran, which was already difficult to do.
Sure.
Anyway, but he was one of like 4 surgeons in the world that did this particular type of surgery.
Right.
And so it would have been a coup, right? Like this boon might not be the right word.
Yeah.
Again, words matter.
Words matter.
But it would have been huge to get him to come to
like
teach
a big win.
and to do research at our facility. And we were going to pay him for that. But of course, he deserves, like if you're one of 4 people in the world who could do something, you should get paid well for that.
You deserve.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even at worked with some people. I didn't work with this particular researcher. He worked at the university. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, they ended up winning like Nobel Prizes for their sort of research they did. And again, if you win a Nobel Prize, you basically instantly come with like a permanent residency as a part of it.
Yeah.
I forget what country he was from, but he was working. What is it's the institution in Dallas that's downtown, but it's a medical institution. I can't think of the name.
Work there.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it.
I mean, one of the benefits of having such a rich higher education system here is we can bring over some of the most brilliant minds from all over the world into our society. And then our society benefits from their contributions. Hopefully everyone around the world does, but we're going to be massive beneficiaries. And so when we talk about, the possibility that we're eroding the higher education system here, we're going to lose brain drain in 2 ways.
Yeah.
Our students, U.S. students, are going to start looking outside of the United States and start giving their contributions to other universities abroad. And all of these international students, the most brilliant minds from outside of the U.S., coming in here and giving us their contributions for, obviously, in return for salary and everything. We're not going to get those people anymore.
Right. And then
no more wins.
They don't teach either.
They don't teach here. They don't teach the next generation of brilliant minds.
Right.
And
we miss out on that knowledge
of all of that knowledge. Yeah.
This particular guy, he created, I think I've told you this, like the in vitro heart surgery for a baby. Like it's insane. Like it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because the person who was telling me the story, and she was like, they won this Nobel Prize for it. And she was like, the guy couldn't write an email to save his life. Yeah. And I was like, that tracks.
That tracks.
That
we know. Everyone knows.
Tracks. But clearly, though, if you're on a thinking of like, how can I operate on a baby's heart while it's in its mother's womb?
In utero, yeah.
Yeah, an email seems like too simple of a concept.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get that. But yeah, like that sort of thing, that sort of research that's here. And again, it was just in Dallas. And I think that's one of the things that's very interesting to me too. What I love about education, particularly education in the U.S., is you could go to just about any college in the U.S. and you're going to get really great education.
Yeah.
Whether it's a college or university. So we do use those words interchangeably.
Right.
You're fine using those words interchangeably. You really could. But typically a college is specifically this area of study that I'm doing. A university is the actual institution of where you're doing that study.
Right.
So as I said, there's an exception pretty much for all of it.
But no one's going to judge you
right,
one or the other.
If you say, oh, the college I go to is Tulane University.
Yeah. Oh, and sometimes when we're making like social media posts for batch and that kind of thing, I have like a word count or like a character count, and college is shorter than university, so I'll just interchange it and I don't care. And like so those are mostly how I make my decisions on that term.
Fair. It's super important of just little things like that. Once it's just a smaller word, or abbreviating something. It's just easier to abbreviate because I have a word count that I have to be mindful of. Yeah. So, all those things matter. or reasons why you would do things in a particular way.
Yeah.
So really fun. Sophie, do you know what the first university was in the country?
Well, I know that it's controversial, but I think Harvard takes ownership of that. And I also I got into William and Mary, and I went to like a function, and they like to also claim it. So I think those two are the most hotly contested, but I don't know if there's any others in the mix.
So Harvard is considered the first, but also William and Mary makes the claim.
See,
And it is William and Mary College. I thought it was. It's
Oh.
College of William and Mary.
this is how long
uh,
ago it was. I don't remember.
No,
Mhm.
because I was like, but I don't think anyone refers to the College of William and Mary
Mm.
as College of William and Mary. I
Right.
think everyone refers to it as
William and
William
Mary.
and Mary.
Yeah.
And even with Harvard, people refer to it as Harvard University.
Yeah.
So
Wait, also fun fact, if you've graduated from Harvard and you want to constantly refer to it but not seem like you're bragging, you refer to it as I went to Cambridge because it's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And so you're like, at
Damn.
my time in Cambridge. And you do drop that often. If I've met one Harvard grad,
you know,
I've heard them say Cambridge a lot.
the funny thing about that is it John Harvard who started Harvard?
Mm,
Is it John Harvard?
it's a pretty popular name. I'd go with that one if I had to make a
Sounds
guess.
good. Actually did study at the University of Cambridge in the
Yeah.
original. So maybe that's why it's in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Oh, it could be.
I don't know. I just made that up.
Yeah. But they're
But-
I mean, there's some of the most elite universities in the entire world.
Right,
Cambridge in the
right.
UK, Oxford, Harvard, the Ivies here, in a very elite class of higher education.
So University of Pennsylvania also claims to be the first college in America. I don't know why they all get to make the claim.
I know. They just want that historical plaque, maybe, you know?
It's a long time, right? Like we're talking,
It's like the 1600s.
1600s.
Yeah.
Of So it says Harvard University calls itself the oldest institution of higher learning in the United States, and this claim is rarely challenged. It is possible to disagree what year should be taken as Harvard as the founding date. Harvard uses the earliest possible one,
Sure.
1636,
Mhm.
the year in which the Massachusetts General Court resolved to establish a fund in a year's time for a school or college to be started, which occurred.
So they just like rubber stamped it in a committee and then they claim that date?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Because the school occurred in 1637
Mm-hmm.
when they actually issued Harvard a charter.
Yeah.
However, Harvard has operated since 1650 under the same corporation, the President and Fellows of Harvard College. As such, it has an unbroken institutional history dating back to the mid-17th century.
Yeah. I mean, it's very impressive.
I mean, it's wild to think about. I think it's one of those things where people say, "Oh, things like that don't affect us today," and I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
it actually really.
It's a rich
truly does.
history, higher education, and we shouldn't take that, for granted. Good for them.
So William and Mary's calls themselves the second oldest institution, acknowledging Harvard's claim, but adding that Harvard may have opened first. I don't know how much that matters.
Yeah.
But William and Mary was already planned. So
Mhm.
I guess they're saying that the original plans for that college started in 1619.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about green lights in committee meetings, then sounds like maybe they win. So.
But it's also, like, okay.
It's semantics, which is apropos for
Apropos,
our...
right?
Yeah.
You've got like things matter in the way in which you say them. So this is also one of the things of the first education. So the University of Pennsylvania claims to be the first university, drawing a distinction between this and the first college. They claim to be the first university in America.
Oh, see, look at that.
between the first college in the Anglo-American model. A college, by definition, is a faculty whose subject specialization is in a single academic field. This is usually arts and sciences, often referred to as liberal arts, but may also be one of the professions such as law, medicine, theology. Again, there was a time where there was only so many things being taught at a campus in general.
How many degree areas are there now? Like thousands. And then it was probably like 10, 12, a dozen. Yeah.
Right. One was just theology and education in theology.
Yeah.
At a university, by contrast, is the coexistence under a single institutional umbrella of more than one faculty. With the founding of the first medical school in America, and Columbia was second. Penn became America's first university. So I guess technically, right? So University of Pennsylvania probably has a better claim as being the first university in America. And then William and Mary and Harvard can just duke it out of who's the first college in America. Because again, it's just
they can both have the title.
They can both be first.
Yeah. Good.
Is it a tie?
It's a tie. But that is a good distinction.
When I was thinking about it, is first.
Yeah. That's a good distinction, though, to differentiate, because even amongst themselves, colleges and universities may or may not use that term in different ways. So it's a good point historically.
I kind of disagree. So, or they kind of can agree. And again, we use them interchangeably.
Yeah.
They don't exactly mean the same thing. And I think we mentioned it before. No one's going to fault you one way or the other. You can talk about one versus the other, and it's perfectly fine.
So what other terms you got for us?
That was it. Those are the only two that I have for today.
I think maybe there's also, I think one of the things that I would discuss too, that maybe not every family knows, are the types of degrees. So you have like the traditional, or like a 2-year degree, which is normally referred to as an associate's degree. A 4-year degree, which is your first 4 years, is usually discussed as a bachelor's degree or undergraduate degree. Those terms are also interchangeable. Then you could also say baccalaureate, though, when referring to like international baccalaureate education, which is K through 12. So don't get that confused.
Right.
Then there's a master's degree. After that, you go
postgraduate
degree. Thank you. Then there's postgraduate doctoral degrees, and that can be anything from like medical MD degrees, PhDs, EDs, and what is it, DBA? I mean, there are a lot of
one of my favorite terms that I learned when I started working on a college campus is terminal degrees.
Oh, that sounds so negative.
So bad.
I would be so nervous.
It basically just means you can't go any further.
Yeah.
Like you've terminated the amount of education you can learn in this field.
That's a term that is that aggressive, because there are students that's the only way to get through to them.
Right.
Because they would be perpetual students for the rest of their life. So you have to tell them, this is it.
This is as far as it
terminal
goes. Which typically means a law degree.
Okay, yes, that's right.
A Juris Doctorate.
A Juris Doctorate.
Right. And so that is as far as you can go, which is very interesting because you don't necessarily need, right? It's shorter than most doctorate degrees.
3 years.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
The same with, because you would get a bachelor's degree and then you can get your Juris Doctorate, your JD.
Right after. Yeah.
Is it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you would go for a bachelor's, then a master's, then a doctoral degree.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, in pharmacy school, you do not need a degree at all.
I didn't. To start it?
To finish.
Oh,
you can go straight from high school into pharmacy college.
Today I learned.
Yeah.
Wow.
You do not. And I learned that because, again, I worked at the Health Science Center and we would do like the, you would get your white coat, actually, just with the doctors and the ceremony. And, or when you graduated from pharmacy degree, they will tell like where you got your undergrad, and a lot of times they just wouldn't.
Oh.
And then I was like, oh, and it's like, who knew?
Yeah, there are so many things to get to know about
little
education.
Nuances. So if you're interested in pharmacy,
good path.
That's a quick path, and then it's varied the type of work that you can do, from a CVS to being a pharmacist in a hospital. Or specializing, or researcher, or specializing in the type of pharmacy that you dispense at a hospital, right? Like there's different things. So there's the
So many
world,
options.
yeah, like there are so many options. And so we can get into degrees and different levels and what they mean and what they don't mean. And
Yes. And I have like an obsession with learning about like very obscure degrees, like subject or like majors and subject areas. I keep a running tab of the most exciting degree. And we'll go into that in depth because they're so exciting. Anthrozoology, ethical hacking,
is there such a thing as ethical
uncrewed,
anything?
yes, uncrewed, like drone management. I don't have my list with me, but it is long. And this is my favorite part about researching as part of batch education is like learning all of these sort of niche degrees.
You know, I would like to think about when we talk about just the different, how things like it's changed in a short time span of
Yes.
generation. So do degrees,
Yes.
by the way. So like in a particular,
Well, they should be
degree
reacting to the
modern
modern market.
right?
Yeah.
At one point, there was a time where like telecom
Oh, yeah.
was like a area of study.
Yes.
And it's like no one even
I'll
knows what
see
that
that.
means now.
I see telecommunications still on there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so like I think that one of the best ones I ever saw was like different types of trees. And I was like, what?
Arborists or botany or horticulture.
Like, yes.
I can't tell you how nerdy I'm going to get on the next episode.
You're so like this is like your
It is. I love it.
this is like when
Nothing-
you're like listing your favorite crossword puzzle designer.
Okay, I have two passions, maybe. Those crossword puzzles and like obscure
You're like,
obscure degrees. Yeah.
people love him, and I'm like, I don't know if people know who this man is.
First of all, they're called cruciverbalists. And did you know Will Schwartz, the editor of the New York Times, he went to a college because he was able to create his own degree. It was sort of interdisciplinary, and he basically studied something along the lines of like puzzles, gaming, crypto, something.
Interesting.
I'm gonna obviously research that fact better for our next episode. But that's like specifically what he did. He created his own thing, and now he's, world renowned
World renowned
for everyone.
cruciferous vegetable.
Cruciferous. Cruciverbalist.
Crucibles.
So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I didn't even know that there were so many fields to like look into. And I think, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish, I could be 20 again to go through it and make a different decision. But, I am where I am, and I'm not going to go back. But no, it's exciting, and we'll go into that in more depth in our next episode.
Next one. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thanks. This is To
To
a Degree.